Namaste, Jai Bharat. There are some phenomena, there are some incidents, and there are also some people who not only arrests the progress of society to forward, but also makes the societies take U-turn to go back in time. Things go forward in time, or things are supposed to go forward in time. Marx Karl was a brilliant speculator. He was indeed one of the best speculators the human history had ever seen. He speculates about societies going forward in time. Of course, he borrows the dialectics from Hegel and blends it with the materialism that he borrows again from Feuerbach and creates a theory of dialectical materialism, and he tries to explain the forward moving of society through many epochs. Brilliant speculation, but it's only a speculation. It has nothing seriously much to do with reality. That's a different point. But there are either incidents or people who takes things back in time, who reverses the progress of society. And the Greek society, let's start with, I'm talking about European societies. Bharat had its own heavy impacts from foreign invasions that destroyed us to a great extent beyond imagination, which you can't imagine in the world. If you go through the history of Bharat, you will come to know how seriously and unscrupulous that used to be. That's a different case. Maybe we'll speak about it at some other point in time, which is at length and nasty even to speak about. Think about how the people suffered, the ancestors suffered. So here, see the Greek society, Greek civilization, they were making definite progress. The Greeks were making definite progress before they could do anything concrete into time and space. Their civilization was destroyed. The Roman conquest. And the Romans, they borrowed everything from Greek. Everything they borrowed from the Greeks, and even the religion they borrowed from the Greeks and created it as a religion of Romano, which of course is a replica of the Greeks, Hellenism. Then, with that, the Greek forward moment in time gets arrested, and I don't know to what extent must have made a U-turn, but must have made a U-turn, definitely. Then the Romans were thriving, and suddenly the Duke of Milan rather permitted a few Catholic, or one Catholic, to proselytize his religion, and then you find the religion of Romano getting collapsed, and the Roman Empire collapsing, not only this reason but various other reasons as well. Then you find the Catholicism. And then, of course, as the European historians themselves speak of, the Catholicism had kept European going forward in time arrested for roughly 2000 years. Not very simple. Nothing happened during these 2000 years, as they themselves find later. No progress was made. So it really arrested the going forward in time. Then after so much of time, they had to really start from square one. Here, of course, the Europeans had an advantage. The Greeks have left something. By the time the Greeks themselves became extinct in the sense, I'm not telling the Greek people became extinct, but their civilization got extinct, their Hellenistic religion got extinct, their all knowledge traditions got confined in books, mostly in books, not through a Sanskriti. That's unfortunate for the Greeks. Then, of course, after the cessation of papacy, this 2000, roughly 2000 years of papacy had arrested the moving forward of in time for the Europeans. And after papacy, the Europeans really had to take inspirations and started. Literally, they started with the Greek knowledge and went forward. Fine. Then, of course, because of these shortcomings, because of this impact of the past, they had to walk through very hard paths, very narrow paths, with lots of climbs and climbs up and climbs down, etc. This is what happened to Europe. One thing. Then there were individuals who take things backward in time. The individuals, especially naturally rulers, who put the societies back in time. Arabia had their own civilization. For example, Persia, Iran, they were a great people, great civilization. And the Islamic explosion of multiple versions of Islam invaded and really arrested the forward moving of people. Not only forward, in this case, what happens is if the papacy had arrested the onward forward developing of a society, Islam had reversed the moving of society. It's not only arrested, it is reversed. People started going back in barbaric ways. I needn't give example. You know, things are in front of you. They started going back in time, back to some imaginable time which they think is appropriate. That's up to them. That's for them to think and assume and presume. But they put things back in time. There are many nations in front of you who were flourishing, who were at least civilized in modern perspectives, but they just went back in time to ancient ways. Unfortunately, not their own ancient ways. For example, think Iran. Think of Iran. Iran was the Persians, great Persians, they have great civilization, but they are going back to the Arabian ways. All Islamized countries were going back to Arabian ways. This is the case of Pakistan. The people of Pakistan have a great heritage because they were great, they had the Sanatana, the Veda Upanishadic knowledge, tradition as a background. Oh, they left everything. And now they aspire to be like the Arabs, which they can't be. See, what is synthetic is synthetic. What is spontaneous is spontaneous. How can you be? How can one synthesize oneself into an absolutely unfamiliar terrain of Sanskriti? That's precisely what happens in Pakistan. That's precisely what happens to Iran. That's precisely what happens to Afghanistan and many such nations, such countries who went back in time, So there are incidents, occurrences, phenomena which arrests the movements forward for a long time, like papacy, longest time perhaps is papacy. And there are incidents and individuals who create U-turns, not only arrest the progress, but takes things back in time and goes backward in time. And this is one unfortunate thing we see. Had there been no puckers, no interferences, no hindrances, the world would have made much more definite progress towards the future. And let's remember, the future is not indefinite. We are not going to have a future of the world forever and ever and ever. You have wasted all this time. For comfortable, meaningful existence, we could have had comfortable, meaningful existence long before from now. Perhaps with all that we would have been in unimaginably vibrant comfort zones. If we did not have these hindrances of arresting progress and reversing progress, the world would have been in a more comfortable existential situations, much more beyond our imagination. So these things are there. I don't know how we can think about it, how we can explain this, how we can excuse it. These are the unfortunate things that happens to the entire world, not only one people, entire world. And there are very few who are sensible, and there are very few who listen to these very few sensible. That is an unfortunate situation. Of course, we come to conclude the point that the negative is powerful, and the powerfulness of negativity is enviably great. So it makes its impact. People think they are right, but they suffer, and they let their generation suffer, and so many generations suffer for the folly of one or two or three people, or couple of people. Many nations suffer, and many nations suffer, and many societies suffer, and when many societies suffer, many individual members of the society suffer in utter helplessness. I don't have to give examples of countries. You know it. It's sufficient that you just think about what's happening in different places. Just coming out of your cocooned comfort zone of a comfortable society, if you are in one, think about others. At least think about, if not speak. So this is one unfortunate atom bomb that happens to us, and it keeps happening. It keeps happening. In the modern times, things are miserably different because there are multiple interests playing in international relations, multiple interests of multiple agencies, where there's nothing like conscience, there's nothing like a single unit standard, there are multiple standards. Multiple standards for multiple situations, and the ultimate objective is convenience. Convenience, which of course, obviously, is the criteria of people in authority who are in the position to say things. This is the present world, which is actually much more complicated, because the earlier situation was perceivable, at least after some time, if not irreparable, at least could be comprehended. But this phenomenon going is not even comprehensible. Forget about getting it repaired. There are no reparations. This is how we live. And you just don't. Let's not champion ourselves as custodians of Sanskriti or civilization. We shall meet again with some other thought. Namaste. Jai Bharat and Jai Shri Ram.